Morning everyone, it's Yvonne here to do what's cracking reading. Just a few things. So firstly, thank you to you all for your support, and for new people on board, welcome. I'm glad to have you on my channel. For those who've been with me and loyal for years, thank you. You know, I know who you are, recognize your names every time I read your comments, so thank you for your ongoing support. We're going to use the Green Witch Tarot for your reading today. I have both witch tarots out, the Modern Witch and the Green Witch. So this particular one, this is my second deck of this one. So sometimes I can use them quite a lot and they get a bit beaten around. Please be careful of scammers. Quite a lot on my Facebook page. Haven't noticed them so much on here. I've made complaints about them both on TikTok and YouTube, but apparently a scammer doesn't, it's contravene rights, contravene rules, whatever. So it's up to me to go and make sure I take them off, which is really frustrating because I do get calls from people who've got sucked in. So please be careful. Remember, I will never offer you personal readings or chase you or whatever. If you want something, you come to me. It's your choice. I'm your selection. So yeah, there's a lot of people who hone in on certain people in the chat and will offer them witchcraft and other things to bring people back. Of course, it's your choice, but just I've known too many circumstances where people have then been taken for further exploitation. I've had a few people who've tried some of those things and then ended up coming back and saying that they are have their bodies possessed, or they've been taken over by unknown entities. So I just feel those people might get in your head a little bit. If you want to have a spell done, go and find somebody to do that. Much better than trusting what you're seeing riding on my back on my site. Okay, there was something else. Oh, I'm not sure if anybody's available to me. At the moment, I know I've talked about I'm studying another degree. I have a degree in social science. I started many years ago doing psychology and didn't feel like it really fitted with me. So after 3 or 4 years, I gave that away and moved over into what I felt was more sociology and did social sciences because it was relative to the work I was doing. Recently, I decided to go back and do another degree, but this time I wanted to do what I wanted to do. So I'm focusing on a Bachelor of Arts in History and Literature, which has always been, both of them, always been a passion for me. In the meantime, I have been upgrading my training and assessment certificate because I've fallen behind with that. And there's been a few updates. So I've got to do only 2 modules to catch up. I've pretty much caught up with it in the past. But in order to get through that course, I need to run a small group. Now, keeping in mind that I'm working with language and numeracy, I need a few people who'd be willing to do a Zoom with me and test out my materials. Now, like obviously it's going to be something that's not, I mean, we can still talk and chat, but certainly just need somebody to run through the materials as if I was running a class. So test subjects. I need round about 5 people. In return, I will do some perhaps some mini readings or something online while you're online with me. The other issue is I really need to do that in daytime. But if you are free and you'd like to spend a little bit of time with me and help me out with some schooling, I'd be really grateful for that. But just let me know what times you're available and I'll see if I can put people together in a small group. Haven't done groups for ages and they are a lot of fun, so it'll be nice to get back into doing some of those things. All right, enough talk. I hope I've covered everything. Let's get into this reading. Cards had their spot shuffled off, as we would always say. The King of Cups coming through. I always like the energy of the King of Cups. This particular deck, whenever I see that, I get this really happy, jovial energy coming through. I feel like you could be dealing with somebody that Makes you feel good. Not that somebody should be responsible for that, but sometimes when we're around people, their energy just really makes us feel good about ourselves. Somebody who has, that great sense of humor, um, or just they're so happy that you can't help being caught up in their vibe. People like that just really raise your own energy levels, which is really nice. But that's King of Cups, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio coming through. I do have them coming in with an offer. This could be with a pentacle, could be an offer of money, so it could be for a job or something that you love to do. Somebody might want to engage your services here. Often the pentacle can represent work, study, something, resources. So somebody's definitely coming in to offer you something here. Let's take it a little bit further. That's the Four of Cups. Four of Swords, sorry. The Four of Swords. I forgot because they call them athames on these decks, and it takes a little while to get back into the energy of the deck again. So the Four of Athames represents swords. So this is, to me, something that you are thinking about taking, perhaps thinking about accepting. But the Four of Swords for me is always about really taking time out. So that always says that perhaps the decision you need to make is not an easy one. Somebody's asked you out on a date, you might really like them, but you may not see a romantic connection with them. So you may be taking time out to really feel out whether that is something you want. Let's just go a little bit further with that. All right. Seven of Cups with the Justice card. Page of Pentacles with the Eight of Cups. Okay. That Justice card has been coming up quite a lot this week, so I really feel there's a lot of people putting energy into their own well-being, working off a lot of karmic energy, maybe doing a lot of inner child work, sort of sorting through childhood, that type of thing. I feel like perhaps somebody has propositioned you in that they've asked you to either join them in a business, join them at work, offered you a job, maybe offered you a relationship. But whatever's going on here, I don't think with that Four of Swords and the other cards there, you are ready to move forward on something at this point in time. I feel that there's a lot of things that you want to move away from. So, for example, somebody could have asked you to go out on a date. You've recently come out of another relationship. You don't feel ready to move into a new situation. So perhaps you're just asking for time and space. Same thing as job. You may have already committed to another job and somebody's come in and offered you something. This is the whole headhunting thing, when somebody comes in and offers you something new. I feel like whatever it is, due to your own sort of personal things that you're going through, you maybe ask for a bit of time and space before you make a commitment to somebody. And I think going on that, it may be right to do that. I think that you don't want to jump the gun. You don't want to let a person down. You don't want to you could have a father figure, for example, coming back into your life after a period of time. And I did feel this the other day at some stage, this energy of somebody coming back in that you haven't seen for a while. And it's like, I need time to work out whether I want to, have a relationship with this person, or whether it's just not the right time for me when I'm going through a lot of other stuff. And that in itself, that person coming forward, if it's somebody that you wanted them to come forward, or you've been waiting for that communication, it could be that that has stirred up a lot of stuff. I know through my own personal work that sometimes I feel really healed and I feel ready to go off into the world, and something can trigger me, and then I realize there's a part of me that hasn't healed yet. And then I'm back to the drawing board. And I heard somebody else talk about this the other day that I was watching on YouTube, and I think that we just, it's not a one size fits all when you go through an awakening. It's not a one time of. And when people say I've awakened, I think you've just done the beginning section, because I feel like it's like you keep having to dig. And for me, it's like I always say, like an onion skin, where you have to keep peeling back those layers to try and get to stuff underneath that maybe you haven't seen before. And in order to move that, you need to go to the next thing. It sort of makes me feel like sometimes if you've got something wrong physically and the doctor treats one thing, but then a whole lot of new symptoms come out and you think it wasn't that to start with. It's sort of like that energy. And I feel like whoever's stepping forward here may have either triggered a new energy in you, or you are in a period of healing where you do not feel you're doing a justice to them by moving forward on something. Let's get into it a little bit further. All right, so I have the Two of Cups coming straight out. So it's very, very possible here that this could be a relationship offer. I won't discount that it couldn't be a business offer, because this card often looks at partnership. But whatever it is here, somebody's offering you something that here, with that Four of Wands, oh boy. Okay, so we have the Nine of Swords coming through. This has got you really in a bit of a bind. Could be a Leo, Sag, Aries person you're dealing with. I have to say to you, this King of Wands has a very strong feeling that you might have somebody at work who's made an offer and you're thinking, I don't want to move forward with this. It will jeopardize my job, or it's probably, those whole work relationships can be quite dicey. And they do happen. But that I have to say, in a lot of circumstances, they do not work out unless one person moves out of that job and goes somewhere else. I have a feeling that I might be talking to somebody who has a manager or somebody at work who may have wanted to ask you out, and maybe you've taken time out to think out, is this the right thing to do, or is this going to become a problem for me? All right, Seven of Swords coming through. Yeah, that's the energy here. And the Three of Swords, I have a lot of judgment coming through as well. So we already have the Justice card and the Judgment card here. I feel like you want to get something going with somebody, absolutely. But the Seven of Swords and the Three of Swords for me is a real strong energy of not wanting to sabotage yourself. Plus the fact the 7 and 3 equal 10, which means there needs to be something finished out before you can move to the next phase. And I feel like with that Judgment card, there seems to be a turning over of saying, I've had a lot of energy around the readings in the last couple of weeks around rebirth, about really, and I'm not the only person, because I watched something the other day and this guy was talking about this. Sometimes when we come through a period of healing, we can almost feel like we've shed a skin. If we recognize, I love the epiphanies, those moments where you stop and you go, oh my goodness, I get it now. I can remember years ago listening to a woman, her name's Danu Morrigan, and she does she's got a website and quite a lot of information around daughters of narcissistic mothers. And I remember reading a lot of her stuff and the tears were just flowing, because that awakening, that realization that you in yourself, we were all flawed, I guess, to a certain degree, but understanding that perhaps some of those flaws and those wounds you've been carrying around don't actually belong to you. You're carrying them from the past. So you may have had, family members going back who've had issues and problems, and maybe made you feel at some stage, or you as a child have been absorbent or vulnerable enough to take some of that stuff on yourself, and you feel like it's you. So when you realize that perhaps it's not you, that there are a lot of other circumstances that could have added to that energy, then things start to change, and it can be quite enlightening. And there were a lot of tears and a lot of releasing in that particular moment when I started reading about that stuff, because I realized, that not all people love their children. Full stop. Not all people love their children. Not all people can relate to their children. Some people just are not able to love somebody else. They may think they do. They may even say it, but it's not. And a lot of those realizations can make you learn to sort of, I want to say, love yourself, but it really sort of feels to me like you shed something that you thought there was, and then you become something so much more whole and complete through shedding all that energy. That's sort of the reasons I started taking up the life coaching, was for those reasons. So I feel like here you're shedding something, and it is in effect a rebirth. but this is not like a rebirth. It sounds tinny and tacky sometimes when I say it. It's almost like a snake shedding its skin, I want to say. So it's almost like you're shedding stuff that really is not serving you anymore. All right, let's just move on. I have the Five of Swords. Wow. I've got to say to you, there is a lot of swords energy here. So I want to get really, and the Ace of Wands. I want to get really into this swords energy. Five of Pentacles coming through. So, you know, the Five of Pentacles sort of says to me that you're not in a place at the moment to really think about adding something more to your kit bag. That sort of makes me feel like, you know, something is being offered to you that probably is amazing, beautiful, wonderful, but in the place you're in, you don't feel like it could be something that you could anticipate at this time. It's sort of like, to me, you know, just that straw that's going to break the camel's back, and you're smart enough to realize that perhaps it's just the timing just isn't right for you. All right, I do pull out the Two of Wands. So whatever this is, it's going to take you into a brand new direction. So there is a new beginning here. But I sort of feel like this new beginning may be a little twofold. It may be that you're going through some sort of changes, but I feel like there is sort of like a new beginning in you and a new beginning in your world. So whatever I'm feeling here, it's beautiful energy, but you may be in a place at the moment where you cannot really fathom how good it's going to be until you get out the other side. I feel like you've got an offer coming in here. Somebody's definitely coming towards you with an offer, but I feel like you're not in the right place to accept this at the moment. This Seven of Cups, it's sort of like, it's always for me that energy of confusion, illusion, delusion. So it might be that this is an offer you wanted, but you know logically it's not where you need to be at the moment. You can't really put your all into it. But the other thing that makes me feel here is there is a lot of confusion around this too. So maybe you're going through so many changes within yourself, you don't feel that you can say yes to something because you are not in the best place. I do have the Justice card. I do have the Judgment card on the table. I also have the Page of Pentacles coming through with the Eight of Cups. So for me, this definitely makes me feel like you're going to just defer something, put it off for a little while. You're not saying no. You're not saying no. You're saying this isn't the right time for me. Can we sort of revisit it in a little while? If it is a romance, it's the sort of time when you turn to somebody and say, look, I'm not ready to date. However, you know, I'd love to sort of keep in touch and see how things change in the future, or see how I'm feeling later on down the road. Whatever it is, I feel really strongly that you're putting your own needs first, which is, of course, where we all need to be. And if somebody is really interested and caring and loving themselves enough to, they will give you time and space to find yourself first. A good friend, a good lover, a good person will say when you're ready. When you're ready, you know you're ready. And I feel like we forget that sometimes when people put pressure on us. If you're at work and it is related to work, the situation I would see is that you're really feeling snowed under with what you're doing, and some gems come in and say, can you do this for me? And it's a huge project and you just don't feel like you can. And many of us would have sat there before and gone, yeah, sure, and then, you know, worked late nights trying to finish something off or take work home. This is the time where you say, look, you know what? I have a lot of other priorities at the moment. I cannot attend to that until later, unless you can tell me that that takes priority, in which case you need to go and see my manager and ask them if you can have priority on that particular project, and I'll be happy to take it on and put priority on it. Alrighty, a particular card doesn't want to come out. I've got the card to go the distance here. I had to struggle to pull that one out today. So it must have been a card that wanted to come out. Okay, endurance, strength, and the long haul. There you go. To bring your dream to life, you must think long term and pay no attention to the fluctuations in the current of your experience. Joy and disappointment commingle with opportunities, so there is no need to fear the occasional obstacle. Life is not a sprint. This card is a reminder that you have endurance, strength, and fortitude to carry you all the way. Remain true to yourself. Your authenticity alone will keep you in alignment with the energy of miracles. What is yours will never be withheld from you. Remember that. That's something I always believe too. So I feel like here, I'm just checking to see whether there's any other messages that I need to, yeah. Your most precious dreams are not about instant gratification, but enduring prosperity. So whatever this is that's being offered to you, you're going to get so much more out of it if you make sure you're ready to move to the next stage. I will leave you with that long reading. Thank you for listening.